Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Local Wisdom. I hope you're having a marvelous day. I'm Justin Underwood, your marvelous mortgage guy. I've got Dawn Bailey, real estate agent extraordinaire.
Good morning.
Also my sister.
Yep, the best.
I think we're watching like the next episode of 60 Minutes or, some kind of documentary unfold. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Do you know that they didn't, like the Powerball was delayed last night, the $1.9 billion Powerball. They went to go announce the numbers and they stopped it. They said that they said the security protocols had not been met.
Oh, okay.
It's like, is there some kind of, somebody trying to rig the Powerball? $1.9 billion?
I'm going to win it. You just didn't know.
Do you buy tickets? Yeah, when it's at $2 billion, I bought a ticket.
I need to.
But I mean, I don't know what the results were last night, but as I was going to bed, I was like, hey, did somebody win? And it was like, no, it's been delayed.
Huh. So are they going to do it today?
I don't know what's happening.
We need to watch TV.
It feels like something is,
Big.
fishy's going on. Like maybe somebody was trying to rig some numbers or something.
Maybe.
I don't know. $2 billion make people do some
Crazy
weird
stuff.
things.
Yeah.
It's funny, as I like to talk about wisdom, I think about the lottery. And you might go, well, Justin, that doesn't make any sense at all. Well, so if you give someone, millions or billions of dollars and they have no wisdom, what generally happens?
They're going to blow it. They don't know what to do with it.
Yeah, like they're end up, drugged out, dead, in jail, or not happy, right?
Yeah.
But you give somebody wisdom, even if they don't have any money, what might happen?
They're going to flourish.
Yeah, like they actually might become a billionaire.
Yeah.
Yeah. So wisdom is more valuable than money. So don't buy those Powerball tickets. Stay tuned here every Tuesday, right?
That's right. That's your winnings right there. Local wisdom.
Yeah, wisdom, is more valuable than money in my opinion.
Yeah.
And so money does tend to follow pretty closely behind it at times. Not always. Not
Yeah.
all wisdom leads to money, but there is wisdom in how to make money well, right?
Yes.
And how not to lose it.
Yeah.
So I have not won the Powerball. I don't know if anybody's won it, but it does sound kind of fishy. But today our topic is, what is a comparable? Now, here we talk about, local wisdom and all things real estate. And I was in a situation yesterday, I won't go into too many details because it's actually somebody's real life, where, they had an appraisal that was done in 2018, and it came in at this number.
Okay.
I'm not going to say it out loud. And then they had an appraisal done this, last few weeks, and it came in less. And
Not what they wanted.
the homeowner was like, hey, I don't feel like my house was properly compared
How is that possible?
to other houses.
Yeah.
And it had me thinking about today's episode, like, hey, I don't know if people really understand, what is a comparable and how appraisers are realtors, because realtors do, market analysis, and they follow some similar, tactics
Yeah.
as an appraiser. But, what is a comparable when you're talking about real estate?
Oh, you're asking me.
Well, I'm just saying, I know that I think people have a general idea. It's like, hey, well, look, it's it's a house like my house,
Yeah.
right?
The neighbor's house sold for, $375.
You hear that all the time, don't
Yes. Well, how many square feet was it? How
Yeah.
old was it?
you start digging into
Yeah,
those
the details.
details. Well, let's talk about our market real quick. So let's say a couple of things that our market isn't, which makes it difficult to compare houses.
Okay.
We are what you would call an eclectic bunch of people, right?
Yeah.
Meaning that when we build a house, we want to put our own touch on it and our own vibes and feels. I mean, I've been at houses where, it has 3-4 different types of siding, and it's got some different styles mixed into it. It's different. We don't have true blue traditional or where styles stay the exact same throughout the neighborhoods.
Yeah.
We don't have that.
They vary.
We're not like on the, and I'm imagining what maybe the East Coast looks like, where they have, houses that were all built the same.
Yeah.
Now, we do have some cookie cutter neighborhoods, so to speak, or neighborhoods where they follow certain plans. But even those they're tight neighborhoods, meaning there's, 30, 40, 50, 60 houses.
Yeah.
It's not a whole market, right?
Yeah. It's just a portion of it.
So we have an eclectic, bunch of houses, which can make it difficult.
Yeah.
We don't have a lot of codes that force conformity, conformity being homes that look alike all the time. And this just makes it more difficult to do a comparable analysis, right?
Parkwood is a good example of that.
Tell me about it.
Parkwood has, the first section is the older homes that are a little bit smaller. And then as you go down kind of into the subdivision, they got a little bit bigger. There's a couple that are significantly bigger,
Right.
not a ton of them. And then as you get around to the new section, those are all that craftsman style.
Totally different style.
Totally different.
Same
So
neighborhood,
yeah.
one way in, one way out, within a quarter mile of each
30
other.
seconds from each other.
Yeah, like if you're doing an aerial video, they're all neighbors, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But you can't compare all those houses to one another.
No, yeah, I wouldn't compare the new ones to the, Parkwood, the first section. What's it called? Parkwood 1?
Parkwood 2.
Yeah, Parkwood 2 is what Harvest
Do you know
Oaks
where
is on.
Parkwood 1 is?
The front section.
Nope, over by Westmore High School.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I just noticed Parkwood.
Yes, that's Parkwood 2 as a whole, as I understand it. And so, so if you're using online like Zestimates, know that they're using location as the primary delineating factor of a house being comparable, and that's just not always true.
No, it affects it greatly.
Yeah, so let's get into what's comparable. So, what's the age-old adage? Location, 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 right?
Yeah.
And so we would say location is the most important.
Yeah.
But you just gave an example where location actually could work against you.
Because you have to go outside of that subdivision for those.
For those. And so as, back in the day when I was doing appraisals, what I'd like to ask myself is like, hey, if somebody was looking at this particular house, like they were shopping to buy a house, what other houses would they also be considering?
Yeah.
Right? So if I wanted a new house, 4-bedroom, 2.5 baths, say 2,300 square feet, to use your example in Parkwood 2, I might not go to the front of the neighborhood, but I might would go to Mallard Estates.
Yep.
Right? Because what do I have? I have houses being built at the same time with similar styles.
Yeah. But you got to make adjustments.
For the location.
Yep. Literally just had that conversation yesterday.
And it's weird because normally you would say, hey, if it's north of the interstate, the location's better. If it's south of the interstate, it's not as good. But you're actually meaning the other way around, aren't you?
Right.
You're meaning Parkwood 2 gets the location adjustment.
Yeah, it does.
Man, this is getting hard real quick.
Yeah, and I think some of that comes with experience. Like newer agents aren't going to know that, but 13 years in the business, and you've seen where the market, pulls you.
Yeah.
Parkwood 2 is highly sought after.
Yeah, it is highly sought after. So, but back to what is a comparable. So, number one, we need to understand location, and that comes with having an idea of the site value, and that can be really tough because these lands and lots don't always sell, and they're not always public, and people don't always understand it. And the value of the location is often absorbed in the overall price of the home. So it takes some work to really getting to know that, and that's not easily determined through like an online service that's just using a mapping program.
Yeah.
That's grabbing like an overall area and kind of baking it all in, right? I mean, you think about North Monroe. If you're going down, say Park Avenue, the side of the road makes a difference. Are you on this side or that side?
Right.
Did you cross the levee or not cross the levee? And then you might think you're in the same area, but one's in a flood zone, one's not.
Yeah.
So location can be really difficult to nail down, but it is the most important. It is the place to start. So let's say the location is equal. What would you say is like the next thing people want to see in a comparable?
Probably size.
Size.
Yeah, size. And there's been some debate. Brooke and I actually just had this conversation because I always pull the comps. Like, that's my strong point. I love it. It's fun.
Yeah.
And what's like if you have a 1,300 square foot house, how far up or down do you go? And I don't know that I necessarily have a exact math. I think part of me just kind of goes on autopilot for what I pull. But, I mean, what would you say? Like, if you have 1,200, do you go to 1,600? Is there a percentage or a...
For me, what I'm asking is, when does the nature of the house change? So you're thinking about square footage, and you're thinking about utility of space. Yeah. Right? Utility of space is the usefulness of that space. So if I have a 1,300 square foot house, and it's 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, I'm like, you know what? This is a full house. It's tight, but it's full, so I can go to 1,500, 1,600. We start to get into kind of a whole different feel.
Yep.
So we're only talking about a 200-foot or so variance, right? But if I'm at 1,300 and it's 2 bedroom, 1 bath, there is no way I'm going to compare 1,500 3 bedroom, 2 bath to it, because the nature and the usefulness of the house has changed. But once you cross, say, 1,500, well, if that's laid out really, really well, there are some people who can't tell the difference between a 1,500 and 1,900 square foot house.
100%. Hallways, layouts, makes a difference.
It does make a difference. And so you really have to be with it and be in it to understand it. But you do want to keep your heated square feet. And do you remember the appraisal term for heated square feet?
Like you asked me
I know.
a lot of trick questions.
I'm sorry, I'm putting her on the spot. It's GLA,
Okay, gross living area.
Living area. I
Yeah.
knew you knew the answer.
I did know the answer.
Yeah. But I'm not putting you on the spot. It's just you're on the spot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So appraisers use the term gross living area. They don't use heated square feet. And this will be another topic for another show. But because they're not determining what the consumer or the general person in the marketplace thinks of heated square feet, they're not just using is it heated to determine it.
Yeah.
And again, that's a whole episode within itself, and we'll certainly share that. But they're looking at, gross living area, what is the usefulness of this space, the utility of this space. And an example would be, I remember doing an appraisal one time where it was in a neighborhood that was generally, say, 18 to 2,200 square feet. Okay? So we had 3-bedroom, 2.5 baths, 4-bedroom, 2 baths was the general consensus. Well, this particular homeowner went upstairs and basically sheetrocked the attic and then laid carpet and floors and threw up one or two walls. And it was really just a bunch of open space.
Yeah.
It didn't have a bathroom in it. And what happened is, if you used that square footage, which put it like over 3,200 square feet, if I used it, to find homes that age, that condition, that size, had to go to a totally different neighborhood.
Yeah, and you didn't want to do
you
that.
would overvalue the home. And so in the gross living area analysis, like it was more accurate for me to realize that this didn't meet the utility of space measure for the neighborhood, that it was best that was included as an amenity to properly appraise the house. Now, you could imagine, like the homeowner's like, no, it's 3,200 heated. Well, heated is not the actual term that's being used here to determine how to appraise it. So location can be difficult. Size can be difficult to determine what's a comparable.
Because somebody could kind of, in that instance, they overbuilt for the area because it's what they needed. So they have to know that if they go to resell it, that price per foot's not going to look the same as the neighbor.
Exactly.
Because they're the biggest house. And Mallard has some of those.
They do.
And so just, Parkwood in the front, some of those are that way too.
Yeah, because if you're just using size as the determining factor for the comparable, it'll take you to a whole different location. And it changes the nature of the house, right? Another one would be, hey, I closed in the garage, or I added a sunroom that's heated and cooled, or I enclosed the back porch.
Yeah. It has value, just not price per foot value.
Yeah, if you're closing in a back porch and it's 300 square feet, because I've seen this on an 1,800 square foot house, it's like, it doesn't have bathroom or kitchens and you can't use it as a bedroom. So its usefulness it's like it's got overflow area, entertainment area.
Yeah.
But that same weighted price per square foot, you got to be really careful.
Yeah.
Closing in a garage, you got to be careful with that and thinking of getting like the same price per square foot. It does add value.
Yes.
But at the same time, when you're like driving into the house and then you stop, you seen that when like, they close in the garage?
There's no garage.
And some people need to do it. Like there's a reason why it's being done. Like it is useful, but to give it the same weighted value can be difficult. So location's difficult. Judging size correctly is difficult. What about condition?
Yeah, condition, I think for when we look at comps, I try not to ever give that price over the phone because I need to know how old the roof is, has it been updated, AC, a lot of those smaller factors that will affect the condition value, I guess.
Do people ask you like over the phone, hey, they like tell you about their house verbally, and then do they ask you to like tell them what you think it'll sell for?
Yes, they do.
All the time?
Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of difficult.
Yeah, and try not to do it.
Yeah.
Like send me some pictures, give me some information, or let me come look at it because I need to see. We just had one because we pulled comps. He hadn't sent us pictures yet. He's not ready for us to come look at it. So we pulled the comps and said, we need to hold up like, what does this look like on the inside? I know what the outside looks like. I know the house. I know it's been there a while. Then they sent pictures, and we had to totally revisit our numbers because it's not as updated as it seemed.
Yeah, so when you're looking at condition,
paneling walls,
it's difficult because one is like, okay, is it damaged or messed up? This, but there's another thing for condition that is hard to put your finger on, and that's what you would call economic life. Okay, I know, viewer, it may seem like I'm using a big term, but what I mean is like, let's say I went to the Garden District and I bought a house and renovated the entire thing. We're talking whether it's the roof, the floors, the walls, the windows, the electrical, the plumbing, the appliances, the trim, the paint,
All of it.
all of it. Even though that house actually may be 100 years old, economically, it may be like a brand new house. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And one of the great things about real estate is that you can transfer it and you can extend its life.
Yeah.
Meaning that I can buy something today and know that it's going to have value in the future, and that I can extend its utility by updating it.
Yeah.
And so it has this transcending value. It's baked into what makes real estate such a great investment, right?
You got to keep it up.
You got to keep it up, but you can extend its life. And so condition is closely associated with economic life. So if I were to completely renovate a house in the Garden District like it's brand new, the house next door to it that's also 100 years old may be the worst comp,
Yeah.
because it may not be completely renovated.
And updated inside.
Because a buyer who's looking at a house that's completely, truly renovated might actually would compare it to a newer home, a home that's 5 to 10 years old.
Yeah.
And so judging
tricky.
age and condition is tricky, right?
Yes.
And so you can't just look down the road and go, well, that one sold for that and that sold for that, so mine should sell for this. You know, all things being equal, you could,
Yeah.
but all things are not equal, right? They rarely are.
Yeah.
So you have that. Then you have quality of construction, which can be a big
Yeah.
factor. Not all materials are the same, are they?
Yeah. Yeah. Not all labor is the same.
I'm going to tell you a funny story, okay? So I'm a new appraiser. This is like in 2008, and I get an assignment, okay? And the assignment is a prior appraiser who's no longer here did a subject to new construction per plans and specs of a home in southwest Monroe, okay, near Luna, okay, near the river. And now it's completed. And I'm going out there to make sure it was built per the plans and specs. And what I found was just incredible. They had taken a mobile home that they lived in, and they had stripped it, and they had taken it apart. The trim, the appliances, the cabinets, all of that. And they had rebuilt a house on a foundation. It was on piers, but that's a permanent foundation.
Actually, I think I know what house you're talking about.
And called it a brand new house per plans and specs. And I walked in, I was like, that's a 15-year-old toilet from a mobile home. This is not a site-built home that's brand new. But they had reused all these materials.
Yeah.
And the original appraisal was thinking it was going to have new materials.
All new.
And
Yeah.
it didn't. The quality of construction was way less
Yeah.
than that.
So what do you do?
Oh, you had to reappraise it. It wasn't the same house.
Yeah.
Yeah, big deal. It was a big deal. And so, quality of construction matters, and comparing those can be difficult because, some people use high-end materials, high-end taste, whether it be flooring or appliances or
Yeah.
fixtures. There's different grades of each one.
Yeah.
So just because they both look new
Yeah.
doesn't mean they're both the same.
Hardwood versus laminate, is that a thing?
Hardwood versus laminate would be a thing because the market reacts to it. But what if it's ceramic tile that looks like hardwood?
I feel like people look at that the same as hardwood.
But it's tough.
That's where it gets tricky.
But the hardwoods cost more.
It does.
It gets tricky.
Yeah.
It's not as easy as people would think when what is a comparable,
Yeah.
right? So what about amenities?
Oh, yeah. So pools, outdoor kitchens,
Shops,
shops,
jacuzzis,
land.
above ground pool?
I'm not going to get. Well, let me say, there's a house on the corner of where we live, the one
Yeah.
on the corner that they
Yeah.
did, and they did an amazing above ground pool. Like,
It's tricky,
I feel
isn't
like
it?
that should have some value. Now, just an above ground pool just sitting there, no. But this one was,
It is knocked out.
yeah,
It's
I
knocked
would
out.
take it.
And it suits the land.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
and the quality of the house, like it goes, it fits.
it's not as easy as you might would think.
Right.
When you're looking at amenities. And amenities vary, in terms of like scale.
Yeah.
Because not all in-ground pools are the same. You got liners, fiberglass, concrete, gunite.
How old is it?
Yeah.
What's the landscaping around it?
What's going on? Is it heated? Does it have a slide or a diving board? Like, and then is it connected? Does it have an outdoor
Pool area, pool house?
pool house or
Yeah.
a cleanup area, or an outdoor kitchen, like so many different amenities and how those compare and how the market reacts to them. And at the same time, the market's ever changing, right?
Yeah, especially today.
So prior to COVID, there were people who just didn't want a pool, and there's still some that don't want a pool, right?
Yeah.
But COVID changed the way we look at pools.
Man, as soon as they're listed, people usually go after them because what did you have to do during COVID?
You had to entertain your children.
At home.
And if
Yeah.
you didn't have a pool, you had to have other ways to entertain. But if you had a pool, it was very useful because we know that we might get locked in our homes again for another 2 or 3 months.
And a pool with grass for animals was even hotter,
yeah,
to have both.
But that's ever changing.
Yes.
So it could change again,
Yeah.
right? Who knows?
They may forget about COVID and forget how much was needed. I don't know if that's going to happen, but
Yeah. So look, what one of the great things about real estate as an investment is that we know that the desire to own a home is virtually the same for everyone.
yes.
They want a safe place to call home, to raise their family, to have some privacy, to be.
And do what they want with it.
Yeah, and that stays true pretty consistently. That's why it's easier to compare a residential home to a residential home as it is to compare land to land because people have different uses and reasons why they might buy it.
Yeah.
Somebody may want hunting land. Somebody's like, no, I'm cutting all that timber. And there's different reasons for it. But for, 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, 4-bedroom, 2.5-bath house, it's the same motive behind it. But even though the motive is comparable or similar, it is difficult to compare the houses. And so I wanted to have this conversation because the wisdom here is that it's not easy to do online through an automated system, through an algorithm, and I'm sure it's better than it was at one time, but it's not easy to do. And the market's ever changing. And so what you really need is a professional.
Yeah. That's in the market that sees how it's moving. Even though we're kind of in the guessing game of this, we still can kind of see weekly, if we're staying on top of it, what's happening.
Yeah, so we have just sat here and talked about the things that are fixed.
Yeah.
This is the we call it real estate because it's real property.
Yeah.
And the improvements are attached in a manner that's meant to remain. We also have market conditions.
Yeah.
And the thing that's true about market conditions is that they're ever changing.
Yes.
Meaning that a house that sold 9 months ago had access to this interest rate, and a house that's selling today has access to another rate,
Yeah.
and the market is reacting to that, even though the house hasn't changed.
Yeah. And even if I'm given, used to if I gave comps, I'd say these are good, for 6 months. And then COVID happened, and I'd say, okay, this is good for 90 days. And then now I feel like I'm saying, okay, this is good for 2 weeks.
Yeah, we're still
30 days.
trying to figure it out.
Yeah, we're still waiting to see. So,
And it's interesting, as technology has grown, we've never needed the professional more. Think about that.
yeah.
As technology has grown, we've never needed the professional more. You need your experienced real estate agent, your experienced real estate team. You likely might need an appraiser.
Yeah, we've done that before where we say, look, this is such a specific property that I'm going to admit I feel like comps are my strong point. Like it's something that I am good at. But if I don't feel confident, I'm going to say, I recommend that you get an appraisal because they go so much more into detail and have access to a lot more stuff. And it's what they do for a living, literally all day long. So pay the few $100, get it. We use that as a starting point for pricing your home.
Yeah, when
and then we can see what comps they use.
When comps are not readily available, you need to rely on appraisal theory.
Yes.
And practices to be able to arrive at an opinion that you could hopefully hang your hat on.
Yeah.
And I think the $400 whatever it is for an appraisal, it can save you thousands.
Yeah, because we don't want to overprice it and not sell, but we don't want to underprice it and give it away. And when we feel like we're in between those points, we're confident enough to say, this is what we suggest. And sometimes people will not do that and they'll list with another, agent or whatever. But
well, when you overprice a house because you think your home was comparable to another one, often what I've seen is you have to then underprice it to sell it.
Yes, because they wonder what happened. What's the story behind it?
People, they have memories. And so as they're scrolling through their phone or they're looking at listings, they've seen that one already. They've seen it already. They've seen it already. And unless somebody refreshes the pictures,
it looks the same.
Now the price is the only thing that's going to motivate them.
Yeah.
that price has to change. And then it might have to change pretty drastically to like rekindle, oh, well, why didn't I consider that one already?
Yeah.
It was always there. You have to drive the price down. So overpricing your home, I mean, I think without question, most realtors would say that's the worst thing you can do
Yeah.
for a listing is overprice it.
Yeah.
Because price always actually sells the home.
Yes. And I know that was a little bit different during the last year and a half because you could, raise the price some because it was so competitive. And some people are still feeding off of that and listing their homes higher, but we're in a different market. We're in a different, it's the season, it's the rates, so now we can't, I would not suggest pushing it above what we say.
And I think what we saw in kind of the post-COVID market was that we were figuring out what the price people were willing to pay. So it wasn't an overpricing.
Yeah.
It was actually an underpricing.
Yes, pushing it because we had to see where it really needed to land.
There still would have been a price that's overpriced.
100%.
Right? It just moves so fast because rates drop so quickly that it took a while to catch up with that. And now in other markets around the country, it is like commonplace to underprice a house, let bids come in, and then you go under escrow. We don't do that in North Louisiana. We did it some during COVID. That was like new territory, right? Where it's like, we're going to just put it on the market on Friday, and we're going to wait till Monday to look at all offers, and then we're going to get everybody to give us their highest and best, and then we're going to make a decision.
Which is very normal outside of here.
Very normal.
Yeah.
Here we're like, we're going to list it, and we're going to accept 97% of the list price. Outside of COVID, that was historically true.
Yeah.
Right? And I think still right now we're like at 91% of list price. So we're not technically still over list price, but I think, Dawn, you were saying that you've noticed quite a bit of price reductions recently. Is that true?
I have. And I even went back and just kind of looked over the last 2 weeks, and I think it was like, oh, Lord, I probably should have wrote it down.
You're good.
It was a lot of just price drops, and some of them were small, but there was a lot of big ones. I mean, $5,000, $10,000. I think sellers we're still anticipating the activity from earlier in the season, and now they're kind of panicking and probably dropping them a little premature, but they know that we're in the slow season and thinking, hey, one more push. We suggested our people do a price drop a few weeks, like back in September, and then because we know that these months are the slowest, so if any price drops beyond that are kind of up to the seller, but we're seeing that because they're kind of, it's a buyer's market at the moment.
When a home is listed, other listings are comparables.
Yep.
Even if they're not exactly like your home. And so, price is one of those things that's being compared, and you have to manage that.
What are we competing against? And some of that's, I have a house that I listed several months ago, and what's on the market in general has changed. So now what this house is competing with, those houses are lower, and they're still the same size, same amenities, different locations. It doesn't devalue the house that I have, but what it's competing against is more competitive, and there's not a whole ton on the market to go against. So.
It's going to be interesting as we continue to move into these markets. Is we don't have enough houses still, and so it's still figuring itself out. How do I handle high rates, but yet there's still more buyers than homes that are for sale? It's just such a conundrum.
It's so weird.
And that the market, so you're going to see houses that sell instantly, that sell even for overpriced, and you're going to see some that sit, and it's like, how do I interpret this data with what we have going on right now? So, interesting.
And explaining that to the sellers is a little tricky. Like,
why are you talking out both sides of your mouth? Market.
Yeah, that's all I got. I'm sorry, guys.
Well, look, we have a top 5 list of sales for this past week. I am rather impressed myself.
Yeah. Some good ones.
Some good ones here. So why don't we get into number 5?
Number 5 is going to be 135 Winterberry Lane. This was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, listed by Catherine Kinselli, and then sold by Amanda Meza.
Well, congratulations, my friend.
So listed at $375 and sold for $357. 52 days on the market.
And where is that neighborhood?
That is in Westlake, that is Westlake, isn't it?
Westlakes of Monroe or West Monroe?
West Monroe. Oh, yeah. The city would help.
Okay. All right. West Monroe made the list. Yeah.
Yep. And this was on 2,200 square foot house, and it was on 4.4 acres, and it sold for where did the price per foot go? $157 a foot.
150. That's still strong. Very good.
Yep.
What's number 4?
Number 4, 516 East Frenchman's Bend Road in Monroe. Was listed at $435 and sold for $420. Listed by Andy Richardson and sold by Leslie Thomas, and it was 82 days on the market.
Oh, very cool.
And this one, this is a new construction, so it's only on the market, I think, 82 days, 2,600 heated, 158 square foot.
So Frenchman's still doing well. Did you see that Miss Leslie Thomas brought me a pecan pie yesterday?
I did see that.
It's like this thick, and I'm not exaggerating.
That thick. That is a thick pecan pie.
And the crust is my favorite part.
I know, it was in a cute little box.
It was. It
Yeah,
was.
So that was a cute house.
Yep.
Like I said, built in 2022.
All right. We have a tie for number 3 and number 2. This has happened a few weeks in a row now.
We caught it on the front end this time.
Oh, we're getting better.
So this one is 104 Castor Cove in Calhoun. Listed at $545, sold for $512,000 cash.
Wow.
Yep. Listed by Sam Nelson and Amanda Meza with THLT, and then sold by Lisa Govan.
That's incredible cash.
25 days on the market.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, as soon as it hit the market, it was already under contract.
It was
sounds like.
3.2 acres, 4-bedroom, 3.5 bath. So, and it was nice. And it's in Calhoun, like on land.
I think people are looking at some of these houses and going, well, I know what it costs to build it.
Yeah, and it had a little small shop to it, which is hard to find too. So, and lots of people are looking for that.
Very good.
So
our tie for number 2. Now, should we have put Calhoun ahead of Ruston?
I just did the order it pulled up in.
I was actually pretty surprised how much alike these two houses were.
They were very similar.
They're within 10 feet of one another, heated.
And 1 year older, is that right? 2008, and this was built 2009.
Yeah. Very close.
Bedroom bath.
Similar look, too.
So 125 Ramsey Circle in Ruston, listed at $530, sold for $512. It was listed by Kristen Slate and sold by Barry Brasher.
Very cool.
91 days on the market, which is not long at all for, $500,000 house.
Is Barry Brasher?
I just said Barry Brasher. It didn't have both names in there.
I have to figure that out. But so Calhoun sold for as much as Ruston.
Which is crazy.
Like the exact same, like literally
Price
almost
per
the exact
foot.
same price per square foot.
Yep.
And actually sold faster.
Yeah, it did.
That's interesting.
Because Ruston is hot.
How do we interpret that?
We don't.
Timing's
it's a new market.
everything.
Yeah.
That's it. Timing's everything. All right, now we have a huge sale.
Yes.
Number 1.
Number 1. And I love the two agents. So this is 134 Delco Road in Rayville, Louisiana. It's a 4-bedroom, 3.5 bath on 3 acres, 5,000 heated square feet.
Only on 3 acres in Rayville?
Yeah.
I'm surprised you're saying that. Is it on the water?
It
You know, I always ask that.
I know. And this one was really rustic. It had the wood look inside. It had a pool. I don't think it's on the water.
Okay.
But it did have a really nice outdoor pool with a hot tub, like the
Oh, so it's a little
stone.
retreat.
Yes. I mean, it was that, and even inside had kind of that, where do people go when it's cold?
The mountains?
Yeah, but Broken Bow.
Cabin? Oh, Broken Bow.
Like
Had
had
a
that kind of
Broken
Broken
Bow? I
Bow
was like,
feel.
what
Yeah.
is
I don't do cold, so I don't know.
Okay.
A Broken Bow feel. So it was listed at $890,000 and sold for $805,000.
Wow.
And it was on the market a little bit.
Well, I mean, that's a huge price point for Rayville.
Rayville and a big house. So
Yeah, I thought you were going to tell me it came with like 100 acres or something.
No, just three.
Just three.
And
Wow.
it was 239 days on the market. So it did take a long time to sell, and I feel like that's why we went from 890 to 805. But it was an amazing little oasis there.
Good job, Rayville.
I wish they would have updated the outside picture for the spring.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of dreary.
Because they took it during maybe like January, February,
Yeah.
something like that.
And I probably would have updated that picture just so when you see it.
Yeah, that's incredible. Good
That's a
job,
good
Rayville.
sale.
On the
Yeah.
number 1. Who was our agents again on that one?
That was Jimmy Grant is who listed it, and Elizabeth Freeman. John Ray sold it.
Colwell Banker and John Ray Realty.
Yep.
Knocking it out of the park for
Yeah.
number 1. Good job, everybody.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Dawn.
Yes, thanks.
You know what? You are incomparable, and I love you.
Thanks, I love you too.
Yeah. Well, everybody, this is this has been another episode of Local Wisdom. Thank you for joining us. If you do me a favor, hit that like button. If you have any questions for Dawn, anything related to what should your house compare to,
Love to help.
hit her up. If you need any mortgage financing or any questions related to that, feel free to give me a call. But as always, I hope you have a marvelous day.